My name is Walter Steffes. Last name is spelled Steffes.
Steps. Steffes?
Yes.
Steffes?
Steffes, yes.
Yeah. Is there ethnic origin of this name?
I think it's German.
German. So you are German American.
I'm a German. I guess you could call it that way.
What is your birthday?
June 10th, 1928.
Wow.
I'll be 90 in another week. Or
Where-
80,
where-
89 in another week, I should say.
Where is your wrinkle in your face? Huh?
I'm not worried.
What do you mean? I cannot find the wrinkle.
I live right.
What do you mean?
Well, I try to eat and I try to be happy and help other people and that's why you always feel good about it.
Wow. What do you eat? What is the success? Key to successful longevity.
Oh yeah, I have to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables and good meat and seafood and everything.
And what
Yes.
what do you do to help other people?
Well, I'm a Shriner. I'm a clown. I raise money to support Shriners hospitals that take care of children that are born with disabilities and things like
So
that.
you perform clown?
Yes, I'm a performing clown.
Ah, I want to see that. You must be good at it.
Oh, I enjoy that. Enjoy working with the children and
Very nice of you.
very satisfying.
Great. Where were you born?
In Stockton, Illinois.
Stock,
T-O-N,
Illinois?
Illinois. I was born at home.
Tell me about your family when you were growing up, your parents and your siblings.
We lived in a small town, and my father was a carpenter. He built houses and barns, and my mother was a housewife. She cooked. We had a big garden, ate all our own stuff. We didn't have a lot of money, but we didn't know we were poor. And we always had plenty of our own fruits and vegetables to eat, and we shared them with everyone we could. And I went to school there, and when I was in high school, my mother passed away. She had breast cancer.
Oh,
And so my father and I, then we just lived there. And when I was at high school, I worked at grocery stores and hauling milk, whatever. And we had a Navy recruiter stay at our house overnight while he was recruiting for World War II. And so as soon as I graduated from high school,
when did you graduate?
1946,
What high school did you graduate?
Stockton High School. And we graduated on Sunday night, and Monday morning I left for the Navy.
You volunteered.
I volunteered.
Wow. Let me ask this question. When you went through the K-12, the school, did they teach anything about Korea?
Well, that was before Korea. That was, 1946 when I
Right.
graduated.
But still, that's a country, and
Yes.
they didn't teach
No.
anything about it.
No,
So the Korean War actually awakened the American people that there is a Korea there.
there is a Korea, right?
And that's how you came to know of it.
A lot of people didn't know that there was even a Japan until 41 or 42. And I was served on the occupation forces in Japan, and then we were working out of Tsingtao, China. And so that's how I knew where Korea was, because we were in that area.
But you said you joined the Navy in 1946.
First time, yes.
So then the World War II ended.
Yes, that was at the end of World War II.
Yeah.
And so then I was discharged in 1948, and I worked.
So, but before that, you volunteered to Navy, and where did you get the basic?
I got my basic in Great Lakes, Illinois.
Mm-hmm. And then, what kind of training did you get?
When I left basic training, I went to electronics school in Treasure Island, California.
Mm. How long?
I was there until 1947, when I was transferred to San Diego and put aboard a destroyer. And from there we stopped at Hawaii and on our way to Japan.
What was your MOS?
I was an electronics technician.
So what kind of things did you do?
Repaired radars, radios, transmitters, everything electronic on the ship.
And were you good at it?
Oh yes,
You didn't.
I think so.
You didn't know before, right?
I knew nothing about it before they trained me.
How long did you get that training for electronic school?
I was there about 6 or 8 months, I think.
Oh, that's long.
Yes.
So you were confident to fix those, and you understood.
Yes,
Very good. Very nice, right?
very good.
So you stopped by Hawaii or what?
For 2 days.
2 days. Must be good.
Well, it was nice, yes.
Yeah.
They had a piece of radar that didn't work when we left, and so when we got to Hawaii, the captain said we were restricted to the ship until it got repaired. But our officer in charge felt sorry for us, and he said he would walk to the fantail at 4 o'clock, and if we happened to get off the ship, he wouldn't see us. So that's what we did, because they had 2 engineers from the factory in New York working on that radar for a month, and they couldn't fix it. So he thought, well, he didn't know whether we could do it or not.
And you did?
Eventually we did.
Good.
It took us another pretty near 2 months before we figured it out.
What was the problem?
It had a short in a cable up on the radar tower up there.
Mm-hmm. And that was wrong?
And we found it that way. Me and another young fella. We accidentally found it because he moved the radar and he pretty near knocked me off the tower, and I said, do that again? And he says, what, do you want me to knock you off this time? And I said, no, but our meters just went back and forth and showed us the short that was our problem. So
You gotta come to my house to fix my broken air conditioner.
so that's how we finally fixed it.
Great. Where did you arrive in Japan and when?
And we arrived in Yokosuka, Japan,
When?
in about, I think it was July of 1947.
Yokosuka, July when? July?
I think it was in July.
Oh, no, September 9th.
September 9th, I
Yeah.
guess it was.
I'll give it to you.
I wrote this down because I can't remember.
And that was 1940, when is it?
1947.
47, right?
Right.
So, tell me about Japan that you saw for the first time. How was it? How did you like it?
Well, we could ride the train from Yokosuka to Tokyo, but we couldn't get off the train, and we were only allowed during the occupation to go on one street in Tokyo, and we weren't supposed to eat anything there. So we rode the train and looked around, and we saw all the bombed out areas, and spent the day there in the rain, and caught the train back and got back on the ship. So we can say we were there, and that was about it.
That's it. Where did you stay in Yokosuka, or did you go somewhere else?
No, we went back to the ship, stayed on the ship.
What was the name of your ship?
Newman K. Perry.
Could you spell it?
N-E-W.
N-A-W.
M-E-W. N-E-W-M-A-N. K. Perry. P-E-R-R-Y. That was DD/DDR.
What? D-B?
DD, like
DD.
in dog.
Yeah.
DDR 883.
883.
Yes,
And that's a destroyer.
that's a destroyer.
What does destroyer do? Explain to the students.
Well, they go around and they protect the larger ships that they surround, like the aircraft carriers and the cruisers and the battleships around the outside. They call them tin cans because they are smaller and they float around in the ocean like a tin can. They bob around. And they're very expendable if the enemy has a submarine and they put the torpedoes in to try and hit the larger ships. They'll usually hit the tin cans first because they're expendable and they don't cost too much to make.
So you are the decoy.
So we are the decoys.
What are the difference between destroyer and cruiser? Do you know?
The cruiser is a lot larger, has a lot more armament on it, and they have, I guess that's it. I don't know exactly.
So cruiser is bigger.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
A lot bigger.
So tell me about how big was it, the destroyer?
We had about 250 men on.
250?
Yes. We were supposed to have about 350, but we were kind of short-handed. So that's why we only had about 250 on.
And where did you go from Yokosuka?
From there, we had been assigned to the Army of Occupation Forces, and then they reassigned us to go to Tsingtao, China, and
So from Yokosuka, you carried American soldiers to Korea?
no, we didn't.
Where did you go?
We were just assigned under the Army for the occupation.
Yeah, but you were on the ship, right?
Yes.
So you were not in the ocean, but just harbored?
Yes, we went in the harbor there.
What did you do then?
We just were only there a few days, and then they reassigned us to Tsingtao.
China?
Yes.
And?
Then we were on, let's see, we were then for patrol escort and search and rescue duty, and then we were supposed to do a hydrographic survey on the coast of China.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Tell me about it. What do you do?
We-
Survey means what?
pardon?
Survey means what?
Well, we went into a lot of places on the coast of China, and we measured the depth and recorded when the tides come in and out, so that they'd have all the charts redone and brought up to date.
I see.
A lot of the charts didn't have the ocean depths or beach depths since in the 1920s, so they wanted to get some of them up to date.
What were you doing there again? You still dealing with electronics, so that
Yes.
sonars and so on, and has a lot to do with measuring the depth and so on. Is that right?
No, they did most of that very primitive. We'd go in slow and they would drop a line over and they would say so many fathoms deep and everything, and they'd write that all down, and they measured the tide and how much it came in and out. And
So there was not much that you could do there.
no, all I did was make sure that our electronic stuff worked.
Okay.
And we were short. We should have had, like, they were supposed to be,
100 more people, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And in our division, we were supposed to have about 15, and there was 4 of us. So we were 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Must be busy.
oh yes, we were busy all the time.
Tell me about the life inside of the destroyer. Was it comfortable?
Oh, pretty much.
Can you give me the paper? Yes. Tell me, describe the details of your life there,
Okay.
because this, again, students will listen to you, and they will be very curious how you sleep, how big was your quarter and so on, what did you eat, what did you do?
Our sleeping quarters were very compact. We slept on we had a piece of canvas stretched between a round oval shape of pipe, and we stretched that canvas real tight, and then you had a mattress about 2 inches thick that you put on that, and that's what you slept on. And the next bunk was about 1.5 feet above you, so if you slept on your side, the person above you, you may feel him touch you through the canvas. You didn't have much room. You didn't sit up in bed or anything. And there was about 5 or 6 high, and you had a
So total how many?
I don't know, whatever it would hold in each compartment. We were up in front in the forward part of the ship, and of course, when we were in rough seas, the forward part would go way up in the air and then drop way down, so you were about like riding a roller coaster while you were in your bed.
Yep.
And you're
While you're sleeping, right?
yeah, while you're sleeping, you kind of hung on so that you didn't fall out.
Right.
And
You
got
didn't have a
by.
seatbelt
No,
or
Shoulda
sleeping
had it.
belt?
you just hung on.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Oh, not bad.
Was it smelly? Because many boys, young boys, they don't clean themselves that
Oh,
often,
we showered. We showered every day. We didn't have much fresh water, so they had the fresh water was once a day for an hour, and you had 1 minute to shower, and there was someone there with a watch behind you to make sure you didn't go over your minute, because he wanted his fresh water. And when the hour was up, then it would switch to salt water. And salt water and soap doesn't go
very
together
well,
very
right.
good. They had a saltwater soap, but it still didn't work very good.
So tell me how you do manage 1 minute freshwater shower?
You do that very quickly.
How?
You just you get just a little bit of water on you and shut it off, and you soak that up a little bit, and then you turn it on and rinse it off quickly. And that's it.
And that all include 1 minute.
That's all in 1 minute, yes.
Boy, you better not shower because I don't think you can clean.
Well, you did pretty good.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
you're young. You know you're young.
What about food?
The food was always pretty good. Sometimes if the ship was real rough and you come down and you had your food in your tray, when you sat at the table, you tipped your tray as the ship rolled back and forth so that the food didn't go out of it and run out. So when you're eating, you just moved your tray back and forth to keep it level while you were eating, and raise it up and down. And sometimes some of them would spill some on the floor, and then when you go from one hatch to the other, or one compartment to another, you had to step over a hatch. It'd be about 1.5 feet high, and when your foot would hit the food on the other side, sometimes about that time the ship would shake a little bit and you'd slide, then you'd go down, and then your whole tray of food would go up in the air and add to it. By the end of the lunch hour, you had quite a mess around there.
So actually Navy is, fortunate. The Army is in the front line. They eat just sea ration.
Right.
Sometimes they out of those, they
Right.
have to starve, right?
Right,
And sleep in the foxhole.
that's right. We had a nice dry place to sleep, and it was warm.
No complaint.
No complaints.
What about other side of the life? What kind of entertainments?
Uh,
While you're eating hot food and hot shower and sleeping.
well, us four in our electronics shop, we had a little shop about, it was probably about 10, 15 foot square that we shared with the quartermasters and their charts and stuff. But the four of us were fortunate enough to have a deck of cards, and we would play cards a lot in our spare time.
Movie?
We had a movie if at night on the outside, if it was very nice. We had one movie, and the name of the movie was Anchors Away.
Anchors Away?
Yes.
Who was
with
there?
Frank Sinatra, and it was a very good movie, but they showed it every night, and after about 6 months of seeing the same movie
Only one movie?
one movie. And so we had it about 6 months, and there's another ship came alongside of us, and
They exchange it.
we radioed over and asked them if we could trade movies with them. They said they would be glad to. We didn't ask them what movie they had, so we run them back in another boat, and they opened it up that
Same
night.
thing.
And guess what movie we had?
Anchor Away.
Anchors Away. The same. Yes.
But don't you have to go back to the ports where that you have to, replenish all the things?
Well, we had, we were operating out of Qingdao most of the time, and we anchored out, and at night, if we were at night, we could go into port once in a while, and you could get a beer or something in there, some kind of junk souvenirs you could buy and come back. And for our supplies, they had supply barges, and we'd go over and we'd get boats load of them and bring them back. But then we were out, a lot of times we'd be out to sea for 25 or 30 days without touching port. So we didn't get any mail or anything. So.
So after China, where did you go?
Well, we went down. We went down to Shanghai and then on down to Hong Kong, and
Continue to survey, right?
yes,
Yeah.
now and we was on search and rescue in case anybody had trouble or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then the day before, 2 days before Christmas, we went to Okinawa and went into Buckner Bay, and it was nice and warm there, and the crew could go swimming, and then on Christmas morning, typhoon came in, so we went to sea, and we were in the typhoon for about a week, and then we ended up in Shanghai, and we spent New Year's Eve in Shanghai then.
What New Year's? 40, 48, 49?
That'd be 47.
40 still?
December 47.
I see. So until Korean War broke up, where were you? Just tell me the locations. After Shanghai.
Well, we were stopped in Amoy once, Amoy, China. We were the first ship to stop in there after World War II. We stopped there for a couple of days, but we didn't stop much anyplace. We were on the go, it seemed like, all the time, for some reason.
All the time in Pacific Ocean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where were you when the Korean War broke out?
Well, I had been discharged then.
Oh,
I
when?
got discharged in 1948,
Mm-hmm.
and in 1948, they had an order that you could get out 90 days sooner if you had transportation, and our captain said, you don't have transportation. We were still in Tsingtao, and he said, you guys aren't gonna go. There was about 20 of us that were eligible to go, and that would have made him more short-handed. And so one of the guys said, I'll get everything arranged. So he made all the arrangements and said, pack your sea bags. He said, we're gonna go. I found transportation. There's a transport ship going to head back to the United States, and he said if we can get on that, we can get passage back there. So he said, we're going to go today, and he said, get your stuff down on the fantail. Well, the captain saw us all put our stuff on the fantail, so he pulled the anchor, and he was going to take off so that we couldn't get off. And one of the guys called over to the other ship, and they sent over a motor whaleboat. And as he was taking off, we threw all our gear over the side onto that boat, and we climbed down the cargo nets and got off. And we got over to the General Butler and the transport, and then 19 days later, we were home in Seattle, Washington, or Bremerton.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of interesting how we got home.
Yeah, right. But, so then what were you doing when the Korean War broke out?
I was working in the cheese factory at the time, and cheesemaker's helper, and I got a couple of the guys had been recalled, and then on December 21st, I said my orders were to report into Great Lakes. December 21st, 1950.
Yeah.
I was recalled back to active duty because I was still in the reserves.
Mm-hmm.
So I reported into Great Lakes on January 8th, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so they asked me, where do you want to go? And I said, well,
Korea.
Korean War's out, so I said, send me to Korea and put me on a destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, okay, your orders will be here in the morning. So I went in, picked my orders up, and I looked at them, and it said, get on the train and go to Boston and report to an aircraft carrier, which was just the opposite of what I'd said. But they had taken this aircraft carrier out of mothballs, and they were getting it ready. They figured they needed it for the Korean problem that they had there, and so they wanted some old people that knew how to get all that old equipment running again, the radars and transmitters and all that kind of stuff. So I suppose that's why they put an older guy on that way. So
What was the name of aircraft carrier?
Kula Golf.
Could you?
Kula
Mm-hmm.
Gulf Golf.
Oh.
CVE 108. So
that, where were you with that aircraft carrier?
that was in Boston in the dry dock. And we got it going, and we had the shakedown cruise to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba and back. And everything worked well. So it was a small aircraft carrier. The flight deck was only 508 feet long. So we had Corsairs.
Uh-huh.
And the Corsairs, they needed pilots to land on a carrier in Korea. So they would give us about 35, 40 planes and a bunch of new pilots, and we'd go out to sea to train them to land on the carrier.
Mm-hmm.
And we would plan to go out for 2 weeks. But usually by the end of 1 week, we didn't have any planes that would fly anymore because they would either crash coming in or have some problems or something. So we had a lot of crashes before they learned how to land on that carrier.
Oh.
So I asked one of the pilots one day, I said, what's it look like? He said, you're coming around and it looks like a postage stamp bouncing up and down and you're trying to land on it.
Wow, that was that hard.
Yes.
Got it.
They had these cables across the deck, and when the plane would come in, he would drop a hook down in the back, and this hook would catch on the cable, and then that would stop the plane. The first cable was only about a foot off the deck, and if it missed that one, the next cable was about 3 foot off, and if he missed that one, the next one was about 4 foot, and the last one was a big one, and it would catch the prop of the plane and stop it right now.
Mm-hmm. So, when were you discharged?
I was discharged in,
Is it here?
yes, 1952,
I
in
see.
March 25th, 1952.
Mm-hmm. April 30.
Yes, April. Okay. But we trained pilots for a while, and then they started using jets over there. And after they started using jets, well, then we were out of business as far as training pilots.
Right.
So then we ferried planes to Casablanca, French Morocco.
Hmm.
And brought a bunch of wrecked planes and stuff back. And then it was getting to be winter time, so they sent us up north around Nova Scotia and Labrador, and we tested cold weather equipment up there in January and February.
Must be very cold there.
It was cold. It was awful cold. I stayed inside. But we spent the summer down in Cuba in June, where it was really hot, and then the winter we went way up north where it was really cold.
Yeah. So, What do you know about the Korean War? I mean, what is the legacy of the Korean War? What do you think? Even though you were not in Korea, but you were the soldier during the Korean War period. And what do you think about the war?
Well, I read a lot about it, and I think that it ended up, well, it probably didn't end the way it should have, but I think it was a lot better for the people in South Korea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For what I see, and the pictures of everything, and I'll have to, my granddaughter was married to a nice young man that works for Google, and I just got a email from him. He just went to South Korea to work for a week, and then he was home, and he was home for about 3 days, they said, or a week, and he went back and working over there for another week. And so I'm anxious to talk to him to see what his opinion is of things over there. And he's living in California now, so.
Korea was miserable, completely destroyed, and we are so poor, but now it's 11th largest economy because American soldiers fought there to protect us from the communist attack. And that's how we were able to rebuild our nation, and we are so proud of. And so you must be proud of too. And we are the strongest ally now to each other. For the audience and the students, I want to explain. Can you explain Korean War era veteran to them?
Well, we were the people that were behind the people that went up and did the combat. We were the non-combat people, but you have to have someone to bring up the supplies and do the training and things. And so sometimes you didn't get sent where you wanted to be. You did whatever they said and were happy to do it.
Yeah, and you are actually a big part of it because you are in the aircraft carrier to train the pilot so that they can participate in the Korean War at the in the aircraft carrier, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so it's a support behind the front line, and there can be a lot of different ways to actually be part of the Korean War, right?
Yes.
Any other message that you want to leave to this interview?
Not that I can think of right now. When I get home, I'll probably think of it.
You call me, okay?
I'll call you.
Right. Walter, it was my great pleasure and honor to meet you, and thank you for sharing your stories with us. Again, there are many ways for soldiers to be part of the war, and you did it in your own way. So I want to thank you, and Korean people never forget what America did for us.
You're welcome, and I'm sure glad hope everything keeps turning out good.